Welcome back, everybody, to the Be the Frequency podcast, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. But I am really excited to talk to Krystal this morning because, or I guess it's afternoon now, but we connected over Instagram and I saw a couple pieces of her content that came across my FYP page, and I was like, hey, I know we haven't really spoken before, but I love your message. I love what you're saying. I love the content you're creating, and I would love to have a conversation around everything that you're teaching because you're doing such an incredible job, and I think something very unique in that space. So I'm so excited to have you, Krystal. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like the online space gets a lot of like bad rap for like a lot of the negativity and all these things, but I always tell everybody, I'm like, I've met some of the coolest people from finding them online and people that I'm actually friends with in person.
Yes, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. It's actually so fun.
Yeah, and I think it gets to be if you let it be that way. You
Right.
know, if that's how you like quote unquote train your algorithm, you know.
Right.
But Krystal does this really incredible work around coaching women in confidence and kind of embodying that confidence, which I thought was very unique because she sells a feeling. She sells an experience. She sells a transformation that you cannot see. And so many people want to do something very, very similar, right? They're like, I want to teach people how to transform, again, like their self-confidence, their self-worth, their, like a lot of these things that are internal metrics. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you kind of got to this point. And again, in the theme of like becoming the frequency, like where did you kind of start off? And what was that like turning point for you that was like, I need to make some changes? And what did you do around that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, where I kind of started was in my early 20s, getting out of college, realizing like I just did not like who I was. You're trying to figure out like who you are, what's your purpose in this world, right? And finding that out, figuring that out, trying different things on. And I have always been the type of person who will go head first into something and pivot if I don't like it, which is pros and cons there. So I tried on a lot of different things. I was a pilot in my early 20s.
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah,
that.
super random. I then became a health coach. So as I was a pilot, I had kind of got into this entrepreneur space. So I then transferred into becoming a health coach. I was really interested in nutrition and had struggled a lot with like my body confidence, really feeling good about myself, constant binge eating, dieting, restricting, all the things. So I kind of dove headfirst into that, then switched to like content and marketing. So like I've pivoted a lot, but what I realized was the through line through it all was this piece of confidence. And it was more this internal piece that I really wanted to help people with, not just this external, I appear confident, because I would say my personality is very much I can appear confident and I could fake it.
Mm.
And I did that a really good job of that, in college. I was definitely like the party girl, definitely the people like wanted to have along. Like if you wanted a fun time, it was like, let's go grab Crystal. And I was also the most insecure version of myself I had ever been.
Isn't that funny how often like what's going on internally for a lot of people, and I think about people like Robin Williams and stuff like that, like clearly there's this disconnect of like who you had to be to the world versus who you really are or were.
Yeah, it's like this performance of
Yeah.
like yourself, and it's not even truly yourself. And I think I went on this journey in my early 20s, like trying to figure out who I was, just doing different modalities, like trying talk therapy, trying this, trying that. So that was like alongside of my career professional journey, and really realized it's like the internal piece that was the
Mm.
switch for me. And the reason, like, I had tried all these different things and why wasn't it working was because I hadn't actually developed that internal confidence, that certainty within myself. And especially if you're a business owner going to sell anything, if you're not certain in who you are and what you sell, that translates
Yeah.
online and in person as
Oh
well.
yeah. I
So,
just read something speaking that kind of just triggers my brain there. Somebody, I think she specifically does marketing, and she
mhm.
was like, I will never pay thousands of dollars for somebody who has that feeling and that vibe in their content and in what they're saying that says, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I
Mhm.
hope this works. Am I charging too much? Like, I'm not paying you thousands of dollars to feel that internally. And if I can feel it through your marketing, how are you going to teach me? You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
wild.
Yeah. And I think I started to realize like that was the piece that I was missing and why my business wasn't working. You know, I had gotten health coaching clients, I had seen some success, but like really when things kind of pivoted for me was number one, looking back, what do I actually enjoy? And I found that through line of, I think oftentimes what we struggle with most is what we are like put on this planet to help people with. And
Yeah.
so I struggled with that internal confidence, that self-worth, not liking myself, to now that's like literally what I help people do, you know, and that becomes then they get the byproduct they want, whether it's dating the man, whether it is building the business, having the net worth, whatever, like that all has to start internally.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things that if it's not one, it's not modeled for you. If you don't, especially when you're young, you don't have any, it's almost like I always use the analogy of kind of like a radio where if you don't have that frequency or that ability to tune into what that looks like, what that feels like, how that person acts or talks, how they interact with others, it's hard for you as you become an adult to then feel those feelings and be that way because there's never been a point of reference for you. You know, it's like what you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I know my parents are great and family is great and so loving, but we didn't talk about emotions and feelings
Yeah.
at all. And that's common for, I think, a lot of people like growing up, you know, millennial, whatever. That's very common. And it wasn't until I actually got into coaching and saw that modeled for me by other coaches or even like therapy. My therapist was like a somatic therapist. So, like, really getting me in tune with my body and like feeling those feelings that I had been avoiding for, you know, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So
You're like, I'm putting that back in the closet where it belongs. It's
yeah, you
been
mean I
good
actually
there.
have to look at it and that's gonna actually help me heal and grow? Interesting.
It is funny though how like when you start to become and maybe you've had an experience like this, but when you start to become aware of like feelings in your body, you're like, oh shit, that's been happening for a long time. I just didn't know
Yeah.
that was that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so much of even when we talk about confidence, like you think about confidence and it comes from like the way you hold your chest and like almost like that. There's so many references to like puffing up your chest and kind of that like firm diaphragm and like this kind of belly area that you're not like afraid to be seen. Like the all the vital organs and in a lot of my work it's like understanding how your energetic field around you communicates information into your nervous system. Your nervous system is an electrical system. And so then how that communicates to all of the organs, the tissue, the cells, and how they all then, as a byproduct, change based on what's going on in your field. And so when you can tell when somebody isn't confident, typically just by looking at them.
Yeah, no, I that's so good. And I feel like I just started kind of getting into that of like realizing that we all have this like electromagnetic field that radiates and you know, some of the work I do is like behind the scenes, like helping people who want levels of fame, you know, and level of
Mm.
fame is like you have to be seen by,
Oh yeah.
let's say, millions of people. If you don't feel safe to be seen, and if you don't feel safe actually like pushing that electromagnetic field out to other
Hmm.
people, like it's going to be really hard to be famous because fame is truly just like a resource of people's attention. But
Yeah.
that has to start internally, like you feeling safe enough for that.
100%. And on the flip side of that, I think when you are confident and when you truly embody that and feel that in your body, because the more people see you, the more you get people who love you, but you also get lots of criticism.
Hmm.
So if you don't have that embodiment piece of feeling confident internally, again, not just like presenting confidence, but feeling confident in whatever it is, whether it be in yourself, in your business, you know, all the things, then I think that's when that fame or that notoriety or that exposure starts to take a dark turn. In my perspective, have you seen things like that too? Or,
Yeah, I mean, most of the people I thankfully get to work with are such good-hearted people that want to do the work. And I think
yeah,
that's just who I attract naturally,
yeah.
right? And who want to go through the messy middle of kind of figuring that out. So I haven't actually seen too many the dark side of that and taking it and spinning it, but
Mhm.
I mean, I think that happens all the time in our society. If we look at celebrity, there are celebrities that we love and admire and are doing amazing things, and they're the opposite
Yeah.
of that.
There's always that, like, I think it comes down a lot to agency. When I
Hmm.
have this, you know, with confidence comes a lot of power and a lot of integrity. And when you then have a lot of power and it doesn't align with integrity, then I think that's when that kind of slippery slope of like, am I sticking to the things that feel morally right to me, to my values, to things that are kind of my compass or my guide? And when you're confident and following those things, I think things go well. And I think people who have the exposure and the money and all of those things do really great things. And I think that's a huge, I would say, belief that a lot of people hold, is that people with a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of fame don't use it well, you know? But I think the difference is having that, again, doing this work that you're talking about of like the messy middle of like, why do I want what I want? Who do I have to be? What are some of the qualities and the values that like underpin this sense of confidence that I have?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, the people that actually make it, quote unquote, or like go far are the people that have that strong why, the values behind it. Because when you just, it's not that you can't do this for yourself, right? And wanting a different life for yourself, but at a certain point, it becomes so much bigger than you. And it
Mm,
becomes, you know, I want to use my money to help these charities or these organizations, or I want to have this level of influence because I don't want people to feel or go through what I went through.
yeah.
And those are the people that I feel like are in it for the long, when you're in it for the long haul and are like, this is my life's work, that kind of mentality. It's like you're able to go through the middle, the part where you're, you know, maybe not seen, or the part where you don't feel so confident, and like
Yeah.
actually make this a lasting change.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if so many people understood, like they want the confidence part,
Mhm.
but they don't want, a lot of people avoid the unlearning of like the beliefs and the habits and the behaviors, like, and a lot of that happens in their mind. Would you
Yeah.
say when you work with people that, I know you kind of like led into this with helping people with their food and nutrition and physical as a part of it, but would
Mhm.
you say at this point it's like shifted more to the not just quote unquote mindset, but actually like the belief system that structures the way that they think? How has that kind of shifted from just a nutrition standpoint and physical standpoint to more of a mind and belief and something deeper level?
Yeah, yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, mindset work sounds so fluffy, and then you start doing it, and you're like, this isn't fluffy at
You're like,
all.
this is really complex and it's
It's
hard.
actually kind of hard. Yeah. That's why most people don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely shifted. I think as I was a health coach, I started implementing a lot more kind of like mindset tools, like shifting your beliefs. I mean, I think that's been the root of everything. And anything that I've had success in, like whether that's money and overcoming money blocks, or like feeling confident in my body and liking actually who I am, the mindset piece had to be part of it. And the body piece did too. You know, the nutrition piece, of course, if you're trying to look a certain way and you want to build muscle, you're going to the gym, of course. But the people that saw lasting changes, like they got really clear on what were their belief systems, and the people that actually saw the sustainable change, because you're not going to build the body that you want and actually keep it if you don't believe you're worthy of it, if you don't believe it's available for you. And so a lot of that mindset work started to come in when I started to realize like we have to change the beliefs. Like that's the root for people. And if
Mm,
you don't ever change that belief system, like you're not going to see the lasting change. And that's why dieting exists and people go on that roller
yeah.
coaster, right? So
Yeah, and this like yo-yo experience that most people have.
yeah, exactly.
What are, okay, so on that same thread of thought, I'm curious, what are some of the beliefs that people hold that stick out the most to you that are struggling with confidence?
That is such a good question. I mean, a lot of it is like rooted in shame, and a lot of it, the one that's sticking out the most right now is people feeling like they should be farther along. And
Ah, yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
preaching to the
don't we
choir.
all? Like
Yeah.
we all have goals for ourselves. If you're a growth-minded person, you want to hit those goals. You know you're meant for more. These are the people I'm typically working with, and they have accomplished so much, and yet they're like, "Well, I should be farther along.
Yeah.
I should be here." And really that's just like rooted in so much shame. And so like that's a huge belief having to shift of like, who are you comparing yourself to? Like, is it some timeline you made up? Is it someone else? You know, and getting to the root. I think another big one we have to debunk is, and it's not really a belief, but it's more their definition of success. Because a lot of
Mm,
people come to me and they'll be like high achieving women, who have like either really crazy corporate careers or have like, you know, grew up in a family where that was really important to get straight A's or something. And so they're very high achieving, but their definition of success actually looks so different than how they were taught
yeah.
success should look like from their parents or society or whatever. And when we strip it back down, it's like, that's not actually my definition of success. Like, if I achieved those things, I don't even think I'd be happy. I don't actually want that.
Yeah.
Um, and so shifting that belief is a big one. And that one's like very deep, right? Like it usually starts in childhood. So it's kind of getting to the root of that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these, what I have to explain to a lot of my clients is the way that you view the world is typically structured for you by the time you're about 7, 8, just because of where your brain waves start to, that's where they actually start to pick up and move faster. So you have a little bit more analytical thinking, things like that. Up until then, they're low and slow enough that you're more like a sponge. You just kind of observe and you're like, okay, this is the way my parents are doing this. And you're so tuned in to like their nervous system, their frequency, so to speak, the way that they interact with people. You're watching all these micro shifts in their behavior and their tone. You're really sensitive to that when you're younger because you're picking up on all the social cues and the nuances of language and interaction and communication that by the time you get to school, you're in kindergarten, first grade, and the foundation, it sounds like, of low self-worth or low self-confidence is already there. And it's not because, you're necessarily your parents were telling you you're a bad person. Typically, it's none of those things.
Yeah, it's like it's picking up like exactly like you said, or a teacher says you didn't do a good job or something, or you weren't smart, or you had to read out in class and then you like stumbled over your words, and so now you feel awkward and embarrassed and you don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's like all of that I feel like truly contributes, and it's so subconscious. Like you're
It
not,
is.
thinking that, but it becomes then your belief system.
Yeah. And like the way that your brain is now wired to interact whenever it feels that way is like, I feel embarrassed that I don't know if might be thinking this about me and my work. So I need to overdo it, all these things. I need to go above and beyond. I need to burn myself out in order to feel like I'm worthy enough, that I have value at this company or at this job, or even, in front of social media, people who are watching me on here. Like, it's like you don't know that you're doing any of these things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I like, even coming back to at this point, you're like, okay, I've worked through a lot of these things. When you start to notice the shift in people, what's some of the like language that they're using? Is there certain things that you're like, oh, right away I'm picking up that like some things are starting to change for them? Like, what are your tall tale signs, just so that people who are listening or watching are like, okay, as I'm starting to implement some stuff, like what am I looking for when I start to really feel more confident? Do you have any like things that kind of stick out to you?
That's such a good question. So whenever I'm like coaching people, I think more like one-on-one, for example, I notice it in the questions they start asking are so much different. And they're starting to like catch themselves in, the beliefs that they might have about like themselves, or like if they're going after a goal that's been stuck in a spiral, they're starting to do that work, in between us meeting. So then the questions that they come back with are kind of more of like, how do I stay in this energy? How do I keep embodying
Yeah.
it? Like it's that piece of it where I'm like, oh, it's clicking for you. Like you're really understanding this. Or they'll tell me, they stop asking me for permission, for example. They'll be like, oh yeah, I just like reached out to this brand to get this like huge brand deal. And I don't know, but I just did it. And if a month ago they would have never done that, that would have been
Yeah.
terrifying. They would have sat on the email forever. So it's like little things like that where I notice that they're not hustling or just taking action from this like gripping kind of energy. They're just in that confidence and like going and doing it and not even second guessing or thinking about it. And then they're just telling me about it, or they start asking those deeper questions of like, I'm feeling really confident. I'm feeling really good. Like, how do I take this to the next level? How do I stay in this? And it's often, they might master it in one area of their life. And then it's like, oh, it's showing up here. Cause I really feel like it's new levels, new devils. Like I'm still
Yeah.
working through this, it's like,
Well, it's part of life.
right. Yeah. I'm like, I don't think you ever stop like,
No.
until you're dead.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'll just keep learning. It's okay. I'll keep taking the lessons.
Yeah. And hopefully they're new lessons or they're just a
Yeah.
little bit different, but
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It kind of sounds to me like it's almost like they have new awareness that comes from this small action.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have that little bit of confidence. So that confidence then breeds action. And then from that action breeds like new awareness because they're getting different feedback.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book or heard of the book? It's called Thanks for the Feedback.
No, I haven't.
It's so good, but it talks about how basically everything in your world is like feedback. And um, the way that you interpret what people are saying is depending on who they are, the emotional space that you're in, and also your relationship to them. So like, it's why like, for example, like my husband can tell me something like 9 times, but my best girlfriend says it and I'm like, you're a genius. And he's like, I've been telling you this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it kind of is like that. They have to have that emotional piece of feeling confident that when the feedback comes in, their relationship to that experience or that person or that goal or that thing starts to change. So the way that feedback starts to change the loop in their nervous system to actually feel safe to have those things, but they had to have the confidence to do the thing first. It's like this kind of
The whole
cycle.
loop. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I think it builds on itself. The more that you prove it with those micro actions, with those catching those thoughts or those beliefs of I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough for this, and then actually choosing to make a change and doing that over time, you start to build that feedback loop, even positive one with yourself. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's
100%.
so huge. No,
I love that. I want to kind of shift because I feel like this is a good place, like, because you are kind of talking about, hey, this is how my clients make this transformation. And we've talked a little bit about your journey of how you got here. Let's talk about the marketing side because you said you were in marketing. And I'm really curious, how are you selling a feeling? To
that is
just put it
such
bluntly.
that is such a great question. Yeah. So the marketing brain in me always goes back to like the specifics that people want. And the thing is like selling confidence, if I'm just selling confidence, you're like, yeah, you want to feel more confident. Everyone wants that. But what does that
Yeah.
mean? And so whenever I think about it, I'm like, if I'm selling confidence, I'm speaking number one to like a specific person. It's usually me, like a younger version of me or whatever, or maybe a specific client I have in mind. And I'm like, what is the byproduct of the confidence that they actually want? And that making it a little bit more tangible. It might be like as simple as like they want to, like send that email asking their boss to work on a project that they've been avoiding for like weeks. And so it's starting to like paint the picture of like what their life looks like when they have that feeling of confidence. Um,
Mm,
and that is really how I have like gone about, because the marketing brand in me is always going back to like what are the tangibles, what are the specifics, like that's
yeah.
what you're taught, right? And so I mean that also helps having a background in that, being able to tie the feeling back into that. But like, yes, and I'm really big on like whenever you're selling a feeling, it's like the everything else that they want is the byproduct, but you're saying the way that you get there is this internal feeling. And so like the way that my
Mm,
clients, have the money, quit the jobs, move to new cities is because they have that internal confidence, that certainty they've built within themselves, the self-trust, all of those things.
yeah.
And so I'm constantly bringing back to like this is the way essentially. And I'm selling confidence, but I'm showing how that actually could show up in their lives.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the thing that they want, so the goal, the job, or the partner, who whatever, is like the symptom. It's like the
Hmm.
thing that you get at the end.
Yeah.
But what you're selling is understanding in order to get to the end point, there has to be this cascade of things that changes. Like
Hmm.
before you get sick, there's invaders of like germs or viruses, stuff like that. Like your body's fighting it before you're aware of it.
Right.
So like all that in between is part, and it's all internal. It's stuff you don't know. You
Right.
don't know it until you don't know it.
Yeah.
If you want the symptom, you want the final product, the byproduct, it's like you have to have the middle piece, which is again the feeling, the implementation, the action, the clarity, things like that.
Yeah, it's like getting to the root. Like that's you can fake it for a little bit, like, and you can build that facade, but at a certain point you will like hit walls. And I mean, I know that
Yeah.
was true for me of like I could not get to the next level of what I wanted to in income, in health, in relationships until I really built this piece and like looked at the root and realized like, oh, I've been faking confidence for a while. And that
You're like,
works
oh
for a
hey
little
girl.
bit. Yeah, it does work for a little, but at a certain point it doesn't.
Well, that's what I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was talking to him. I'm like, listen, it's great. Everybody wants $1 million, right? They want to have the byproduct. I would love to have $1 million or whatever it is. But what they actually want to be is the millionaire, which is different than having the $1 million. And in order to be the millionaire, you've had to learn the lessons to build wealth,
Mm-hmm.
not just having the stuff in the bank, because it's just like what they call like the lottery curse,
Yeah.
where, they get all this money and it's the percentage was something crazy, like
Yeah. So high.
83%, 85% lose all of their money within the first few years that they have it. Because they're like, I've never had this much money in my life. I don't know how to be that frequency. So when people are
Yeah.
coming to you and they're like, I want to be the person that, somebody loves. I want to be the person that attracts this kind of partner. I want to be these things. It's like, that's the $1 million, but you have to be the person, the millionaire, that's
Mhm.
done this work, that's prepared your body and your belief system and this internal metric of, not only I think there's a sense of confidence, but also like trust in yourself that comes with that.
Yeah. And like I always tell my clients this, it's like your nervous system also has to feel safe enough to hold it. And so
Hmm.
it's building the beliefs, it's building the habits, it's acting like that person, being that person right now before you have the $1 million, before you have the love. I mean, if you want the love and the partnership, like are you even giving that to yourself right now? How do you expect someone else to give that to you? And like the lottery example is such a good one. And it's like if I'll tell my clients if you've been handed like if I handed you like 500K, how would you feel? How would you show up? All of these things. And it's not much different. They like to
Yeah.
say, oh, yeah, like I would do this and I would do that. I'm like, but would you actually feel any safer than you do now? Usually, no. And that's
Yeah.
because we're not actually being that person who can hold that amount of wealth, who can hold
Yeah.
that amount of love and actually receive it.
Well, and most people kind of like what you're saying, like dream about those things, but then you ask them and they have no clue what they'd do that with that money.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're like, well, why do you need
Why
that
do you want
money
it?
then? Why do you need that person?
Yeah.
Like, what is that going to give you? It's just, again, something that you're trying to like check off your list or think once I get that thing, then I'll be this. And it's almost like the reverse. I have to be
Mhm.
this first and then I can have that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I 100% believe in that.
It's like you can't put the, what is it, the cart before
Or
the
before-
horse. Oh, okay, good. You
Exactly.
were picking up
That's
my
what you're
analogy. I
doing.
was like, in my mind, it's this. I really hope this comes out well.
Yeah, for sure. And I know there's that whole oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name, whoever came up with it, but like the be do have uh kind of model of like you have to be the person before you
Hmm.
have the thing. And like we can look at proof, of course, of like, oh, the lottery, they just got a bunch of money or they, found love. But again, it's like, can they hold it? Is it healthy? Is it all of these things?
Yeah.
Like, until you actually be that person and learn how to hold it, have the habits, have the mindset, have the belief system, have the nervous system, like be in that frequency, like it's having it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know really what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd probably push it away and get rid of it because you're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel safe. I don't want it.
Well, I think about this a lot because I had to, I mean, I feel like we've kind of circled back to like a love reference for a long time. And I was a single mom for a really long time. And everybody kind of would always make this joke. They're like, they have like a 3 week lifespan. I'm like, well, if I don't like what I see in 3 weeks, why would I continue to occupy like, or like spend my time here? Like, that seems
Yeah.
silly to me. But in that sense, it's like I recognized I needed to, the person that I wanted to attract was not the person that I was being. And what I was attracting was exactly what I was. Like I was really kind of emotionally unavailable and expecting something different of them. And that's not fair to expect people to give what you can't give or
Yeah.
aren't willing to give or aren't willing to change or work on it and things like that. You want, again, a partner that does these things, but you're not willing to explore those sensations, those feelings, stuff that you already created in your own life. And so when I started doing those things is literally exactly when I met my husband. And my husband is the complete opposite of like anyone I've ever, not to say opposite of anyone I've ever dated, but he is incredible and he's very emotionally intelligent and attentive and all of the things that I was not doing and I was also attracting and I was like, well, this
Yeah.
tracks. Yeah. Because when I would meet somebody who was emotionally available, it felt I'm like, oh gosh, too much. And
Yeah.
because I didn't know what to do with it, I was like, how you want to be with me? Like, you're putting a lot of effort into this. You know what I mean? Like, not even realizing
Yeah.
that I was doing it. It
Yeah. Or
it's
it's like
definitely
your brain can oh sorry.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was like my Wi-Fi's cutting out. That's why. Um Yeah, no, it's like your brain can even get addicted to like the chaos or,
Yeah.
if you're used to it in the past. So it's like exactly like you said of like and then when you've done the work and maybe you're more emotionally available or mature, like able to like sit with your feelings and process it and deal with it. I look back and I'm like, I would not date me. Like, and I was wanting this.
So sorry for everyone who I blessed with my presence before
Yeah,
this.
that version, that chapter, like that was the pilot season.
You're like, I was just trying to uphold the pilot reputation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
That's all. I'm not saying anything about pilots. Pilots don't come for me.
Right,
But
right.
if you know, you know. No, kidding. I don't feel like pilots is my demographic. So
So you're probably safe. I
I'm
think you're
probably
safe.
safe here. If not, you guys, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, that makes me laugh. What is one of the things when you're like, again, you're selling something that is intangible. So is it at this point you've developed kind of a methodology? Is it that you kind of everybody's is a little bit more tailored? Are you working one-on-one and tailoring everything? Do you do more group things where you're like, hey, this week we kind of go over these things because you've seen some of these patterns? Or what have you found is something that really works for at least your business, and again attracting those people who are ready to make change, because it sounds like that's a lot of who's kind of coming into your life.
Yeah, so I do a lot of one-on-one work, and that's a bit customized to their business. And it's so holistic because a lot of them come to me and they're entrepreneurs as well. So we're going deep into their business and the strategy and their marketing, but then we're also talking about dating and relationships and their home life. And I love one-on-one work, which is surprising. But I love going deep with people. And then I also have a membership where I'm kind of dropping the wisdom, the frameworks, the things that I've seen from all of these one-on-one clients into weekly episodes for people. And I just, for example, just got back from a retreat in Costa Rica with a bunch of seven-figure entrepreneurs. And a huge thing that I'm going to talk about is the certainty that those people have. People that are making that type of money so
Mm-hmm.
certain in who
Yeah.
they are. And that certainty is what sells. It's not even the great messaging and the perfect product and all of those things. And yes, we could talk about the strategies of how they got there, but I'll share wisdom and stuff like that for people, more of a scalable version. But
Yeah. She's currently in the middle of this like 30-day challenge. We're recording this in October, so I know it's going to air later. But is that kind of what this 30-day challenge is? Or because is it private podcasts kind of
yeah.
drop type things? Explain to me like how these people are finding you and being able to kind of like get in your world if they can't kind of do the one-on-one quite yet.
Yeah. So the 30-day challenge is really big on embodying and being that person first. And that's kind of all we're talking about for me. When I think of a business, it has to be in alignment for me and feel fun for me to deliver on. And then it's like, what do the people actually need? And so I loved delivering via audio drops. And that's
Oh,
how Private Podcast was birthed and born. And so the 30-day challenge is all about daily audios of helping you stay in that energy, helping you build that internal certainty with one action a day. Like so freaking simple. Like it's like 5 minutes, So simple people won't actually do it. I said that from the beginning. I was like, 95% of people will join and not actually do this.
which is
But
unfortunate. It's like the drive,
yeah,
and again, but this is where a lot of people that drop off happens, even in the confidence. Like
yeah,
they're like, I feel really good, and then they don't take the action.
yeah. And
And
I'm
you're
like,
like,
the
they
action
gotta,
is what seals it in. Like
yeah,
that's like
like,
the cement.
well, and that's what changes. Again, like that's the action gives you the ability to have that feedback. And once you get
Yes.
that feedback, then your brain and your subconscious can change its relationships and all the neural pathways that are connected with those things.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't rewire, like you're stopping the rewiring process if you don't complete it with the action and get that feedback.
Yeah, a
Um,
100%.
yeah. So
I love when
that,
things are dropped like that. I'm a big like I love an audiobook. You give me a voice note, except for I'm like VAs and like any contract work and stuff like that I have. I'm
oh,
like, you need to write it out. I voice memo you. Me.
anything operational, like, I don't know.
Yeah, because once you start talking, I will listen and I will forget the first three items that you talked about. In
Exactly.
my mind, checked off, we have moved on.
Yeah.
I thought it was complete
Yeah.
because I've listened to the voice memo. The end. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so you have coming in the new year. So
Mhm.
she's gonna do. It's still in the works. It will be a very similar challenge in the new year. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what you're cooking up without giving too much away?
Yeah, of course. So, I love how everyone in the new year is always talking about vision boards and we're vision casting and we're planning for, the new year and who we're going to be. And then you see that statistic of how many people actually fall off on their goals. And so this challenge is really going to be like setting you up to be the person who actually follows through, who builds the self-trust, the resiliency. So, of course, we'll dream up our big goals, but, if you're any like the people probably listening to this already have those dreams, have those visions, have those goals. But then it's actually like, how do we implement it? How do we be that person? How do we solidify it with the action so that we're actually making that our reality versus just journaling about it for the 10th time?
I love that. So we're going to put all of those, the links everywhere that you can find her, all that stuff about Krystal in the show notes. So if you're like, ooh, I really need somebody to like hold my hand while I do this, Krystal's your girl. You're going to come
Yes.
find her. You're going to come find her so that you, again, it's like this confidence seeps into every part of your life. I recorded a podcast not too long ago talking kind of a little bit in that vein of like wanting to experience some of these things. And like there's so many more pieces to it than just, and now I'm confident. And so I love getting
Yeah.
to just kind of open up this conversation. And when people are trying to be the frequency of confidence, like what does that actually look like? And I feel like they're walking away from this episode with so many tangible things. So I'm really, really grateful for you to just sit down and have this conversation and share all that good stuff with us.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. It was truly such a fun conversation. I love these types of conversations, diving into it.
Okay, drop all your handles, all your things. Where can they find you?
Yes. So on Instagram, TikTok, I'm Krystal with a K, Buddy, on both of those platforms.
Budde, you guys, not
Budde. I
Y.
should spell that. And yeah, Krystal, Krystal,
There we go.
Budde.
Thank you so, so much. We appreciate you. And before you go, I always like to ask if you could give everybody one piece of advice to really embody and be the frequency of, again, somebody who's coaching people maybe on feelings or things unseen, or having the, maybe they're, moving from job to job and they finally found their thing. And what would be your one piece of advice of who they would have to be to really be that frequency?
Yeah. I think it starts truly with becoming so obsessed with yourself and your life right now. Because when you start to become so obsessed with your life and who you are right now, yes, you want to reach those goals and you want to go bigger. But when you start being the person who can like truly fall in love and find happiness in your day to day and the ways that you have made it, like that is going to set you up to be the frequency of the person, the future you that you need to be. And so, yeah, it's really starting with like that place first.
I love that. Like it's almost like being grateful for what you already have, like
Yeah.
noticing what you already have.
Yeah, because then I mean the negative keeps us like stuck in the lack and that's not the frequency of the person in the future. Like if you're thinking of the person, the version of you who has the money, whatever it is, the wealth, the person, are they in the negative? Probably not.
Right.
So,
Isn't that funny? I mean, just like side note, I was just thinking about that as you were saying it. Most people don't dream themselves into a negative light.
right.
Like they
Yeah.
don't future cast as looking like their life is getting like significantly worse. They always future cast of like hopes and aspirations, which I think should
Yeah.
be a telling tale of like it's probably a lot better right now than you actually realize.
Right. Yeah. And so if you want to be that person, in the future you see the positive piece of it, why aren't we being that person now?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Oh, that was such a good. On that note, we gotta sign off. Thank
Drive
you
it up.
again. Thank you so much again, Krystal. And until next time, you guys. Cheers.